Who's actually going to get real value out of an underground utility locator, and who should just walk away? Is it the tool that DIY owners can finally use instead of calling a contractor? Or is it a piece of equipment that only seasoned tradespeople will squeeze any benefit from? And for the everyday shopper wondering if the price tag is justified, does the depth-finding promise actually deliver on a typical weekend project? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I get it. When you first hear underground utility locator, you picture a high-tech gadget that instantly lights up every pipe, cable, and conduit beneath your driveway. The idea is tempting, especially if you've ever dug a hole only to hit a water line or an electric cable you didn't see on the plan. The hesitation comes from the fear of spending money on a device that might be more hype than help, or worse, a tool that tells you exactly what you already know from the utility maps just with a different price tag. The truth is that a locator like this one from Underground is a middle ground piece. It's not a cheap, toy-like detector, but it's also not the heavy-duty, multi-frequency machine pro electricians take to the job site. First, let's talk about where this kind of device actually shines. Picture a homeowner who's planning to add a garden pond, replace a deck, or put in a backyard fire pit. All of those projects involve digging, and the biggest risk is hitting something that could shut off power, cause a water leak, or become a safety hazard. With this locator, you can sweep the surface with the handheld wand, get a visual readout of where metallic objects lie, and get a rough estimate of depth. That depth metric is useful when you're trying to decide whether to trench 6 inches or 12 inches deep. You won't need a professional survey for a small garden. For that subset of buyers, the device can save a few $100s in call-out fees and give you the confidence to dig on your own schedule. Now, shift the scene to a professional contractor who regularly works on large-scale utility excavation. They need a device that can detect non-metallic plastic pipes, differentiate between multiple voltage lines, and work reliably in a variety of soil conditions. Those pros typically rely on multi-frequency, high-resolution locators that cost several $1,000s and come with calibrated accessories. For them, the underground model will feel underpowered and lacking in the precision they demand. The coupling feature, essentially the ability to lock onto a signal and track it along its path, might help them locate a single wire, but it won't give the resolution needed for complex conduit maps. So if you're a seasoned electrician or a civil engineer, you're probably better off staying in the professional tier. What about the price-to-value balance? The unit sits in a price range that feels affordable for a casual user, but you'll notice the trade-off most quickly when you try to push it beyond its intended use. The depth reading is not a precise measurement, it's a range estimation based on signal strength. In loose, sandy soil, the signal may travel farther, making the depth appear shallower than it really is. In dense, clay-rich ground, the opposite happens, and you could be misled into digging deeper than necessary. That's not a bug so much as a limitation of the physics behind the technology, but it's something every buyer should know before they rely on the readout for critical decisions. Practical strengths surface when you use the device in straightforward scenarios. A typical backyard with a few buried metal irrigation lines will show clear, consistent signals. The wand's LED indicator becomes bright and the depth gauge gives a decent ballpark figure. The coupling ability lets you follow that line across the yard, confirming its path without guesswork. That is a real time saver compared to measuring with a tape measure or just guessing based on a map. In addition, the handheld design is lightweight enough to carry around the house or even a small job site without getting in the way, so you can easily trace multiple routes in a single afternoon. On the downside, the locator doesn't detect non-metallic pipes at all. If your garden has PVC water lines or fiberglass communication cables, the device will read nothing, leaving a blind spot that could still cause a costly accident. Another practical weakness shows up if you try to locate utilities near power lines. The device can pick up stray electromagnetic interference, leading to false positives that look like a pipe where none exists. The manual suggests moving the wand slowly and adjusting sensitivity, but that adds a layer of trial and error that can be frustrating for a DIYer who just wants a quick answer. There's also the hidden cost of learning. The interface isn't a simple on-off button. You have to calibrate the meter, select the right frequency mode, and interpret the depth gauge correctly. For someone who's never handled a utility locator before, that learning curve can eat into the time saved. On the flip side, the lack of a built-in speaker or audible alert